Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the Sentinel, the Tier 4 British/Australian medium tank. It's a premium medium that appeared in the gift shop not so long ago. I did buy it, I did play it, I did ace it. It's just been a while since I've had a chance to sit down and record this game. But yeah, I didn't enjoy my time in this tank. I spent a day in the Sentinel in order to planning to do a review, and it's just hasn't happened yet. Haven't gotten around to it yet, but this is the first ace in the tank, and yeah, Sentinel, as I say, didn't enjoy my time in the tank, but you know, and let's not talk about the machine gun port, because everyone talks about this machine gun port, which is one of the reasons why maybe the tank gets laughed at. But this is a tank that does have some strengths, it does have some weaknesses, but because it's the first time I'm featuring the tank on the channel, I might as well talk about the history very briefly, and it's very brief because the tank doesn't have a lot of history. Now, at the beginning of World War II, a lot of British armour were left on the beaches at Dunkirk. Britain were very, very short of armour. Other countries in the Commonwealth decided to help out. Australia's contribution to building up Britain's armour was the development of a new cruiser tank, or a new variant of cruiser tank called the Sentinel. So the concept for this tank began in 1941, and the tank started rolling off the production lines in 1942. Now, originally there were supposed to be 2,000 of these tanks built, but in the end only 65 were, because by the time it started being rolling off the production lines, it was already considered obsolete. So of the 65 that were built, they never saw combat. They only remained as training vehicles, and in 1946, after World War II, they were decommissioned. So not a very distinguished career for the Sentinel, but yeah, the tank does have a lot of strengths and weaknesses, as I mentioned. So yeah, even though it's made fun of quite a lot, it does have some strengths. The first main strength has to be its armor, because if you've ever played the Valentine, the other Tier 4 British medium tanker, the regular Tier 4 British medium tank, the Valentine, and wished, okay, the armor is pretty good if it's top tier, so I just wish it was a little bit faster, a little bit more mobile. Well, you've got your wish, because this is basically a similar armor profile to the Valentine, but it's slightly faster, it's slightly more mobile. So yeah, I would say it's a slightly more mobile Valentine as regards armor. Now, the armor is quite good. It gets 65mm of frontal hull armor, and you can see that that hull armor is rounded and sloped, so it's actually much more effective. So 65mm of frontal hull armor, 65mm of turret armor all round, and again, look at the sloping, look at the angling. There are some flat areas, but you know, the armor is very good if it's top tier. The side and rear armor are 45mm, so again, potentially side scraping and potentially bouncing lower tier tanks. So I think the armor is much better than people give this tank credit for, but only when it's top tier, and that's important because this tank doesn't get special matchmaking. It will see tier 5s, it will see tier 6s, and as a result, those tier 5s and 6s don't really care about your 65mm of armor, although it is possible to bounce them. Don't count on it. So the armor is definitely a big positive for the tank. Another positive for the tank is its rate of fire, which is an amazing 26 rounds a minute, although you can boost that up to around you know, around shot every 2 seconds with equipment and cruise skills, so you can get up to around 30 shots a minute, which is very good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the strengths. Oh, it gets 10 degrees of gun depression, forgot to mention that. 10 degrees of gun depression. So I mentioned a lot, I love my tanks with gun depression. It gets 10 degrees of gun depression. So yeah, some strengths, but when it comes to weaknesses, unfortunately unfortunately. As I say, it doesn't get special matchmaking, and your armor is not going to count for much against higher tier tanks. And while it has an amazing rate of fire, unfortunately the 40mm that comes on the gun is pathetic. It really is. It gets 88mm of penetration, which I suppose technically is a positive for its tier. Very good penetration for its tier, but that alpha damage of only 45. So yeah, incredibly low alpha damage from this 40mm, and as a result, the DPM, even though it's got an amazing rate of fire, the DPM is only around it's under 1200. It's about 1100, which is incredibly bad DPM. So the problem with this tank is you're only going to you may be shooting very fast, but you're doing 45 damage a shot. So if you run into a tank that has 450 hit points, you have to shoot him 10 times and hit and pen 10 times in order to kill him. And that is what I found when I was driving the Sentinel. I come across a tank and I've got to shoot maybe a tier 5, a tier 6, 12, 13, 14, 15 times. Even if I can pen him, I have to shoot a tank 15 times in order to kill him, whereas he only needs to shoot me twice because you've only got 370 hit points. So yeah, the DPM incredibly poor, the alpha damage incredibly poor, and not only is the DPM and alpha damage incredibly poor, yeah, I don't know what Wargaming were thinking, but they gave this tank a 2.7 second aim time. Yeah, so the gun, you can shoot off a shot every 2 seconds, but the aim time is 2.7 seconds. Absolutely ridiculous. So a lot of the shots you're going to be firing, if you're firing as soon as you reload, you're not going to be fully aimed. In fact, you're going to be nowhere near fully aimed, and as a result, the 0.37 accuracy is that much worse. So you do get quite a lot of ammunition, but yeah, just the gun handling, the aim time, the lack of alpha damage, the number of times you need to shoot enemy tanks really made playing this tank a chore. So as I say, if you like playing the Valentine, this is a much more mobile version of it, and it's not too bad if you look at it that way, but when you get it into tier 6 game after tier 6 game, then it's not a lot of fun to play because you just don't have the DPM, you don't have the alpha damage to take out enemy tanks, and your armor doesn't count for much. But anyway, we are going to go. That's all the positives and negatives I can think of for the tank at the moment. This is the first ace in it, and as you can see, look at this acceleration. It's, we've got 60 kilometers an hour top speed, but we're struggling to get over 30. And this is the problem. So it may be faster and more mobile than a Valentine, but not by much. And definitely not compared to other tanks. But we are here on, what is this map? It is Mountain Pass. It's a tier 4 game. Very, very nice matchup. So basically, I'm top tier, and this is what this tank loves. You need to be top tier in the Sentinel, because when it's not top tier, it absolutely sucks. But we're just going to advance, and I'm going to be playing like a heavy tank, because when you've got 65mm of armor and you're top tier in a tier 4 game, you're essentially a heavy. And you notice I'm not shooting on the move until I get almost into cover, and of course I'm not going to hit that because, yeah, shooting on the move, this tank is not very good either. The aim time, the alpha damage, I mean, that M3 Lee, what is he? He's on 117 health. I needed to hit him 3 times in order to kill him, even when he was on low health. But we've advanced up to this corner, and we're just going to play like a heavy tank. Oh! And a little bit of slow reaction shot. Cruiser got into cover. Is he going to poke? Now, I'm trying to keep my tank angled. I'm trying to only show my turret. And as a result, use my armor to its strength. So, yeah, look at the Cruiser. Hey, we did a whole 47 damage to him. He did 47 damage to me. Now we did 48. He's got a Panzer 1C. I've got absolutely no fear. Panzer 1C, he could shoot me all day. He's not going to pen me. Oh, Marder 38T is difficult. Okay, lots and lots of enemy tanks down here. 38T could cause me problems, but we're just doing little bits of damage. I mean, we shoot a Panzer 38T, and it's as if we're just scratching him. Bounce on a Panzer 3A, but we're just moving forward. Use our rate of fire because we know we can fire twice before the Panzer 3A can reload. Lots of tanks down here. He's just fired, so again, look how many shots it's taking to kill this Panzer 3A. So I don't know how many shots we put into him, but oh, 38T is fired. We put 1 shot into him, and even though he's on 61 health, we're going to have to put 2 more shots into him. So yeah, I didn't enjoy my time on this tank very much, but it is what it is. It's a tier 4 premium tank, and you really don't expect a lot from tier 4 premium tanks. And I will say there are lots of tier 4 premium tanks that are better. But we're moving up. So for example, the Panzer... Oh, and a little bit of server lag there, but we put 2 shots in. Oh, he did pen me. I thought we'd kill the 38T before he could get another shot in, but we're bouncing the Cruiser 4. We're at an angle, and a bounce on the Cruiser 4 again. And we finally take him out for kill number 3. So we've taken 2 hits, and we're down to 207 hit points. There's a Panzer 38T running away. And we're going to move up. But yeah, there are so many better. If you're going to play tier 4 premium tanks, there are better ones. As I say, the Panzer B2 is on sale at the moment of the time of recording this, and the Panzer B2 is just so much better. The Russian Valentine 2, even though this tank is faster and more mobile, that gets special matchmaking, just like the Panzer B2, and only sees tier 4s. So, similar armor, slightly better gun, but it only sees tier 4s. And this tank doesn't get special matchmaking. Look at the aim time. 2 shots missed on a stationary M5A1 Stuart, but we finally go to work here. Having to lead the target. Oh, that's another problem for this gun, because even though it's got a high rate of fire, the shell velocity is quite slow. But look how many shots it's taking to kill these guys. Ah, we finally get the Panzer 38T, so decent rate of fire. Can we get the PC-1C before he gets away? No, he got away. Oh, and this guy is going to be a problem. So the Samoa S35, even though he's a tier 3, he's reasonably well armored, so I really don't want to mess around with this guy. He can eat up my 200 hit points very quickly, so I've switched to premium ammo because I just don't want to spend time dealing with this guy. Now technically I could pen his driver's slit on the front of the tank. Using the wreck here, putting shots in. I probably could have penned him with regular ammo, but I'm just not taking chances. We set him on fire, and he doesn't have a fire extinguisher, so switch back to regular ammo. And there's kill number 6. We've wrapped up 6 kills, so yeah, I know the Samoa S35 is complaining about gold, but you know, I wasn't taking any chances, and I don't usually shoot a lot of gold here, but I'm going to need gold against the AMX-40 because that's the only tank that's left, unless I can get his side, or even his side I might have problems with. Maybe I need his rear. But again, slow acceleration. You can see we're doing a whole 27 kilometers an hour along here on a tank that's on paper supposed to do 60. So I'm wondering, is the AMX-40 going for spawn? Our Valentine is going for cap. I'm looking for the AMX-40. Come on, dude. I want kill number 7. Our Valentine is capping. And this tank, it's just not fast enough. It's just not maneuverable enough to wrap up at the end of games. I'm hunting the AMX-40. I'm wondering, has he driven back to cap? We might as well speed it up. Is he driving towards our cap? He's saying don't cap. He's driving... Last spotted driving towards our cap. I reckon he's finally turned around. He's unhappy we're capping, but, you know, AMX-40 is typical. It's possible for this guy to win the game. He's got the better armor than I do. Valentine's capping, and we never actually find out where the AMX-40 is, so that's another slow, well-armored tank, but there we go. Game over. First ace in the Sentinel. So maybe I am being a little bit critical about the Sentinel, but personally I didn't have a very good time in it. I had very few good games, and I was top tier in that one. Dream matchmaking for the Sentinel, because, you know, it does have strengths. The armor is extremely good for its tier. The gun depression is extremely good for its tier, and the penetration is extremely good for its tier, even though I probably unnecessarily did have to switch to premium ammo for one tank. But yeah, I mean, it does have strengths, but the DPM is just absolutely awful. The alpha damage is awful, and the aim time absolutely ridiculously bad. And I have no idea why the aim time is so bad on this tank, but it is. It didn't need aim time that bad, but it's a tier 4. So as I say, I'm probably being a little bit too critical. We finished up top with XP 1115. 1217 damage done, 6 kills, but very, very nice matchup. And we fired 40, lots of ammo in this tank, another positive. Hit 33, which is actually a decent performance for the gun, but then again, we were shooting a lot of shots at close range, and when you're trying to shoot at distance, this tank can suffer. And we penned 28 of 33. 4 spotted, which is because I was playing on the front line, 8 damage, 6 destroyed, and only 89 assistance damage. 26,000 credits earned, and it wasn't my first game of the day because I was planning to do a review, spent a day in the tank, and this was the first ace of those games. But yeah, didn't have a very good day. So yeah, decent result in the tank, but I don't see myself, when I finally get around to reviewing it, I don't see myself spending very much time in a tank. I just didn't enjoy it. I think that it's only competitive when it's top tier, and against tier 5s, tier 6s, it's definitely, there are tanks I'd much rather be playing. But, you know, if you're into Australian tanks, or if you're into British tanks, and you have wanted to play a more mobile version of the Valentine, then the Sentinel is not the worst. But definitely better tanks out there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.